One of the trademark features of psychopathy is cruelty to animals.
Okay.
So if there's anybody out there who knows kids who are harming animals, it is a huge red flag.
If parents watching this realize that this is what their child is doing,
The child needs help. Let's assume for a second that all perversions are okay. The question still remains that just because you feel arousal, does that mean you act according to your arousal? Bottom line, if we are acting like animals, we should be treated like animals.
Why is it that majority of the rapists are men?
There are less men who are afraid of consequences than women.
most dirty debates all come down to evolution.
6-month-old child, 70-year-old woman, dead woman. Where is evolution here? If an if comes in your apology, you're not apologetic. You're not sorry. Imagine the Britishers telling Indians, sorry if you felt bad, or sorry if I hurt you. Arey sala, sorry if I hurt you. If
I'm going to turn 30 soon. I'm going to get married soon. We were thinking of having a child, but I'm certain I don't want to have a child in this world. I think men have created an unsafe world, and it's time to do something about it. I don't think it's a fight that just women have to fight. Men have to get into it. So I'm with my closest friends, Agni, Sid. We're having a conversation, a candid chat on trying to understand how should men behave, how should we make women feel safer, because at the end of the day, we're the ones who've caused the world to be an unsafe place.
Behind every no, there's a yes. all
वही,
of that
उसके
stuff.
नाम में भी हाँ
उसके
है.
नाम में भी हाँ है.
Hmm.
मुन्नी बदनाम हुई, शीला की जवानी. You have 8-year-old kids singing this.
No,
bro.
that is very different.
It
That is
stems
objectification.
out of
No,
the same thing.
This is different. This you're talking about. This is all about consent, where people are. They have a messed up perception of consent. That if she is laughing, ha ha ha, like उसकी नाम में हाँ है. ये consent की बात है. शीला की जवानी, that is objectification. वो थोड़ा अलग हो गया.
No, but aren't the two linked? Like, so I don't think most men realize that consent is a vibe. उनको शायद पता ही नहीं है that consent लेनी होती है. Because, again, not taking away anything from women, but it's difficult to say that testosterone is the reason for all cruelty towards women, right? Not all men behave that way. I just think they're less educated, they're less aware. That's what gets them to behave like that.
No,
not at
this has
all.
got nothing to do with education. Why? Actually, I want to know this. Do any other, like, I know other animals fight, right?
Yeah.
Other animals also commit murder. Chimpanzees, orangutans have committed murder,
Correct.
right? For other tribe, and they
Correct.
do other animals rape.
Let's look it up, bro. That's actually very interesting.
Yeah.
You know, because I've always thought, because I Meher has this book. This book is called Why Men Rape.
Yeah.
I've always
They
thought
do.
Because it's not lust.
Animals also do.
Animals do it.
Animals rape.
Yeah.
Indeed, orangutans.
The same ones who commit murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the ones who are closer to our genetic tree, because the concept of rape in itself assumes a lot of conscious free will, assumes that, oh, this is not something that I want. So that is in the monkey line. Whereas if you look at say cats, tigers, lions, वहाँ पे it's not like
Who
that.
all rape? Just see which all animals rape. Because if we,
Dolphins, chimpanzees, orangutans. Yeah.
And
Majorly these three I'm opening
and
up more.
do we have any reasons for why any animal species is raping?
Bro,
Enough.
the thing is, it'll all boil down to this shit. See, most dirty debates all come down to evolutionary. You find a person or a animal that you feel is going to carry your genetic load, and then you deposit your load. That's the way evolution would work, right? So even for these conversations, so in the morning I was having a conversation with a psychologist, right? She said that ye rape conversations maybe so many times people just keep bringing in the evolutionary aspect that men, the moment they find someone who has large breasts and a wide hip,
I get what you're saying. That is to choose a partner, okay? Where evolutionarily your body is trying to figure
So
out
to
whether this.
partner, I
No,
think-
but Bhargav, okay, what I'm trying to say, a 6-month-old child, 70-year-old woman, dead woman, where is evolution here?
yeah.
So
That's
it's
like the concept.
it's something
that's what
more
I'm saying,
it's something more basic than that.
Hmm.
Okay. What gets somebody aroused
Hmm.
is a very subjective thing.
Hmm.
Okay, so there are different perversions, different people will
Hmm.
like different things. Some things we are accepting of, some
Yeah.
things we are not accepting of. Let's assume that we drop all morality, ठीक है, and assume that no perversion in itself is wrong. Let's assume that,
Hmm.
ठीक है. Now,
Let's explain what perversion also is.
perversion would mean that anyone who feels sexually aroused at something which we don't consider as normal
Okay.
or within socially acceptable limits.
Example,
So-
BDSM.
Example BDSM,
Yeah.
yes, or example
Sadism, masochism.
pain, right? And there was one point in time where anything other than heterosexual sex between two married people was considered as a perversion. There was a point.
Yeah.
There was a point where masturbation was considered as a perversion. There was a point where homosexuality was considered as a perversion. So anything outside of that one narrow line was considered abnormal. Society evolves. ठीक है. Let's assume for a second that all perversions are okay. Okay, no moral judgment. The question still remains that just because you feel arousal, does that mean you act
Yeah.
according to your arousal? And that is the difference between animals and humans. We have to keep coming back to
Absolutely.
that line. You cannot blame evolution for something because, hey, guess what? We are not animals. That is where the evolution argument ends. Because, bottom line, if we are acting like animals, we should be treated like animals. But we don't do that.
Correct.
We are holding ourselves to a higher standard. We have a legal system.
Yeah.
We have prisons. We have reforms. All of those things are under the assumption that no, we are human beings. We
Yeah.
deserve a chance. We can learn. We can get better. So if we are holding all of society accountable to act like humans, then the evolutionary argument ends.
Correct.
It doesn't matter what orangutans do. It doesn't matter what dolphins do. We have a prefrontal cortex.
Yeah.
It's more evolved than any of them. Show it. Prove it.
So then let's trace it back down.
Yeah.
We've said that it's not evolution. What makes a man behave like
An
Oh,
animal.
an
yeah,
animal.
yeah. Forget not just rape. Like, what makes a human or man kill an innocent animal, kill an innocent human being, derive pleasure from torture?
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say, understanding, like, how does one? Why do we have to cull it in the bud? Like, what are these? Why are, like you said, we are not animals. We are humans. We are different. But why do some people have that thing to begin with, that as a young boy, or you're burning ants, or you're
Yeah.
whatever, like,
Yeah.
why do some people do that?
By the way, one of the trademark features of
Psychopath.
psychopathy is cruelty to animals.
Okay.
So if there's anybody out there who knows kids who are harming animals,
Just like that.
just like that, harming an animal for pleasure, it is a huge red flag. It is not something to be taken lightly, because I think there was a study that showed that a lot of serial killers had in their childhood started with animals.
I've
Is this
read
treatable?
about this.
If parents watching this realize that this is what their child is doing,
The child needs help. The child is dealing with some things. Their child has psychopathic tendencies. At least see a specialist. It cannot be ignored.
Okay. Now my question to you is, do psychopathic tendencies, is it because of nature or nurture? What I mean is, if there are twins and when you separate them, right, genetically they're the same, right? Abhi tendency ki baat mein nahi kar raha. So one grows up in a loving household,
Yeah.
one grows up in a broken household. Can the one in a loving household still be a psychopath, and the one in the broken household be a normal person?
Any question which has
Like,
nature versus nurture.
is psychopathy a genetic trait?
I get what you mean.
Huh.
So there are genetic predispositions, but it's always nurture that wins over nature. Because now we understand more of genetics, and we understand how important epigenetics are. So even if you're born with a particular genetic code,
Huh.
at the age of 30, a lot of things have changed in that genetic code because of the experiences that you've had, because of the kind of safety that you're grown up in, the kind of food that you eat, the exercise that you do. So even at the genetic level, things can change because of your environment.
And it's true. Have you all seen the show Dexter?
Yes.
Same thing, right?
Yeah.
He was born a psychopath, but his father taught him to use his psychopathy into becoming a vigilante, technically. So then he had a code, a moral code, based on which he eventually started killing people because he knew he had to kill. He didn't feel emotion, he didn't feel remorse, no guilt, no regret, nothing. But he just started using it for the greater purpose, not trying to sort of
Also not a
empathize
healthy
with
way
that.
of doing it, but
Yes.
yeah.
But again,
It brings home the
nurture
point.
versus need. It brings home the point that, which also brings back the same point. It's education.
Education.
No.
So, okay.
You've got a society. If your society teaches you, now when you say society, it's your parents, grandparents, everyone around you. They teach you what is right and what is wrong, right? Technically speaking, most of these are societal constructs. The idea of rape, it's wrong. But in the animal kingdom, rape doesn't exist, right? You blame it on evolution. Over here, you realize that each human being has free will. They want to do something and they don't want to do something. Everybody's consent is important when you're indulging in an activity that requires participation of two people. So society teaches you what is right and what is wrong. People who have no society around them have nobody to teach them what is right and what is wrong. The poor, the uneducated.
No,
So here the problem
this is what you say. Okay, Bhargav, we're talking about sociology here, like your what society teaches you. That has got nothing to do with your educational status,
It's
because
the same. I don't mean 10th pass, 12th pass. I just mean someone to give you information about what is right or wrong. Whether it comes through textbooks, it comes through your teacher, through your parents, anybody.
So you have hit upon a very important topic here, which is, I agree with you that education is important, but I don't think when you say education and when society hears education, it means the same thing. So when we say, are you educated? We usually mean from the perspective of
literacy.
Literacy.
Can you read and write? The truth is that we are not educated to know what is emotional regulation.
Okay.
None of us have been taught emotional regulation.
What is emotional regulation?
Exactly. It is something that we kind of learn through life, but none of us are sat down and taught what is emotional regulation. Now, for instance, you're driving your car and somebody knocks your mirror. What do you feel?
Rage.
Anger, rage. That is an emotion. Now that emotion is in you. It is not optional. It is going to come. It doesn't make you less of a human or more of a human. It is a biological response. Yahan tak evolution is there.
Okay.
Everything that you do beyond that point is education.
Correct.
That is where emotional regulation kicks in. That you have rage. If you are somebody with zero emotional regulation, you are not in control. You are not a human being. You are out of the car, you are thrashing that person. Kahi se to you've picked up a stick, there is blood everywhere. You don't even know what you're doing. You are a complete animal in that moment. You are not a human, which means that your prefrontal cortex is out. There's nothing.
So now when you talking about humans in prefrontal cortex, okay, that if you can't control your emotions or your primal urges or whatever it is, right, or lack of urges if you're a psychopath, why is it that majority of the rapists are men? Why don't women rape as much as men do?
A very different question. So
Yeah,
if
I
you're talking
understand,
about So if you're talking about emotional regulation, I would say that all human beings struggle with emotional regulation in some way. And through life, you learn that some amount of emotional regulation is needed to function as a society.
Otherwise, there would be bloodbath on the
There'd be
streets.
bloodbath. Now, one of the primary things that keeps us in check is fear.
Fear of the law, fear of society,
of
consequences.
Whatever that is. If there is fear of consequences, there is a emotional check to emotion.
Correct.
So it's almost like a limbic system practice it's a limbic solution to a limbic problem.
Correct.
It's an emotional solution to an emotional problem. If you say no, you have to think logically. Very few people are able to do that in the moment of emotion. Now, to answer your question, I would say in one line, if I have to say it, it's that more men there are less men who are afraid of consequences than women when it comes to physical actions.
And part two, like, see, men and women are equal, but they're not biologically equal, right? Men are stronger than women. The act that you're describing requires someone taking control of another individual in order to take control.
No, this is not about taking control also. Okay, you're talking about the violent kind.
Bro, any kind of rape is violent.
No. What I'm trying to say is that you don't need to be physically strong or stronger to rape somebody.
You have to be, right?
No, you don't have to be. Why
Bro, rape is sex without consent.
Yes, you don't have to be physically stronger than the survivor for that.
You have to be able to assert dominance in order to suppress person's free will.
And what if that person, or let's say that person is incapacitated? What I'm trying to say, you don't have to be physically stronger.
Got it.
Right. My question is, why is this a male-centric problem? Why do we not feel unsafe around women? There must be something, right? Like, okay, what do we when as men, right? We just say, we find certain areas as unsafe, right?
Yeah.
That's a drug dealing hota hai. A lot of kidnappings happen or muggings happen. It's not a good locality. Be careful, right? That's what our red flags or whatever, right? For women, it's practically the entire world. For them, those safe green zones are very few. Maybe just the confines of their house. Why do we not talk about, I was going down that street and there were so many women there. Man, they were all looking at me. They were looking at me dirtily. I just did.
Yeah.
Why is it that men are raping, or men, whatever, violently or slyly?
It's such a crazy thing, but
something must be wrong in
when you
us.
described feeling fear, I know I have felt fear in certain parts of town. Like when I was a kid, especially.
Yeah.
I know that I had to come home from school one day and the bus had broken down and everybody had kind of gone back by themselves. And there's this one gully that is it's described as a rough neighborhood. And I remember walking through that, and there were some guys who had come down and they were kind of bullying me. And I remember the last 30 seconds I'd made a run for it. I was maybe in 8th standard, so 13
years.
And the shock of it was so high because otherwise you are in a very safe space. You're always safe.
You're always
when
safe.
Are you not safe? You're safe in your house, you're safe in your school, you're safe in your friends. So then that shock of, wait, what just happened? Am I in danger? What is this new feeling that I'm... So that memory will always be stuck in my head. And for me, I thought that was a very unique feeling. But then you realize that there are people who go through every moment feeling like that. And now, after learning about what anxiety is, what stress does to the brain, you realize what that can do to your brain. You will not feel the same way as somebody who's not gone through fear. Right? So when you describe that women will go through life not feeling safe, more and more, if you ask any girl that you know, they will tell you that they don't feel safe in trains, they don't feel safe in a bus, they don't feel safe. And they're not just saying it. They're
we have made them feel like that.
Yeah.
So what can we do to
other women have not made these women feel unsafe. We have again, I keep coming back to this, and I'm sorry, I'm coming back to the same point.
Why is it men?
Why is it men? Why is it always bloody men who are doing this? Why aren't women raping other women? Or why aren't women raping men as much as men are raping women? Why is it that men are bloody raping everybody? There's something wrong with us.
We need a psychologist on this, because I'm sure
there's something wrong with us. Something must be wrong with us.
Yes.
And this is not okay. And it's not even a generational thing.
Is it testosterone?
It is a part of it. So in general, there is a higher level of violence. There's a higher level of aggression. Violence is the wrong word. Violence is perception. We perceive something as violent, but it's aggression. That the whole hunting thing, that you have to go out there, do this. So testosterone plays a role in aggression. it's not that women are not aggressive. It's not that only men are aggressive.
Yeah.
But physical aggression has always been more of a masculine trait. And anything to do with hands, anything to do with action, there's a masculine tendency towards it. Whereas the feminine tendency is more towards language. There are evolutionary theories around it that women start speaking earlier, their language centers are more developed. There are concepts there as well, but the how you express emotion, it can either come out through words
Or
actions, because there has to be some output. And if you're not able to talk, you will act.
Fair. Women are also not talking dirty to us. Now, dirty as in like they're not making us feel
it's possible.
unsafe
This
with
is
words
a
also.
testosterone.
What you're describing is a very very multi-level problem. Like there's not a one-line answer for this.
We don't know. I mean, I honestly don't.
Does testosterone encourage primal behavior?
No, it doesn't encourage primal behavior.
Okay.
Testosterone gives you a lot of benefits. Testosterone increases your resilience. It can help
RBC
you.
count.
Yeah, it can do that. It can improve your muscle mass, muscle tone. But what it also does is it reduces your amygdala activation.
Okay.
So you feel less threatened overall.
Okay.
Which is not to say that men don't feel fear, but the baseline changes. So that is one piece of the puzzle. Again, there are many pieces of the puzzle, but one of this is biological. Yes, it is a hormonal component.
Okay, now if you're talking about testosterone being as of today, this is just one of the hormones we've discovered, but imagine a heterosexual male, okay, who has whatever this testosterone issue, or amygdala is not firing, whatever. He will know consent when a homosexual male makes an advance on him.
Yeah.
So obviously it's not like he doesn't know what consent is.
Yeah.
If this heterosexual male is a homophobe, he will very well know what consent is when he himself is touched inappropriately.
Yeah.
Bro, that's when the realization comes, no?
So
most men haven't faced this. What he's rightly mentioned, let's trace it back. Men feel less fear. Men have faced less situations where they're made to feel fear. So men don't understand fear in some aspects.
Yeah, but that's not really true, because any man who has gone through college...
My reason for saying this was that you cannot just say that this is a testosterone thing.
It's not. It's a power thing.
It's a power thing.
It comes down to a power thing. Forget about everything else. In any situation in life, there is a power dynamic. It can be very subtle or it can be very obvious, but there is always a power dynamic. And the power dynamic is usually defined by one trait.
Okay.
So we were discussing this a while ago, that if a bunch of social media influencers are sitting, the power dynamic is the follower count.
Yes.
You were describing that.
Yes.
Right? If there's a bunch of doctors sitting, the power dynamic, seniority.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
There is always a power dynamic. Now, this power dynamic can play out in different ways, but whoever has power can do things to the person who does not have power. And the fact that they don't do it is a good thing. We value that.
Yeah.
We value people who don't abuse their power. Now, if you zoom out of gender and look at the world overall, everything that ends with ism is a power dynamic. Racism, casteism, sexism is a power dynamic. There is one group of people that have power over another group of people.
Perceived power.
Right? Now, in this particular case of physical violence, the power dynamic is because of physical strength. It really does come down to that when we are talking about it from that perspective.
So basically, again, because this...
Let's summarize the multiple factors actually. It'll make it clearer. We spoke about physical strength. We spoke about power. We spoke about lack of consequences. We spoke about lack of experiences of fear. We spoke about testosterone.
Yeah.
All of this essentially points to the fact that men have capabilities of being more monstrous than women, which they are displaying. Which means it's men that need to do the work
Of course,
in order to
men-
make the
men
world
need to
a
do
safer place.
Of course.
100%.
If we
All
are the
these
ones making it
years,
unsafe,
we have been
we
telling
have
women,
messed up. We have messed up.
do this, don't wear that, don't
Yeah.
go out, don't speak this, do that.
Correct.
But we were been approaching it wrong the whole time.
Yeah.
The entire conversation has to be flipped, and I think that's the conversation we should have today. What should men do, or how should men behave in order to make the world a safer place? And for people watching, if you're too selfish or self-centered to sort of think about society at large, think about how you would want other men to behave so that your mother or your sister or your wife does not have to feel
See, that's the problem,
unsafe.
Bhargav. I'm so
Small
glad
changes.
I'm so glad you said the last line, because unfortunately, again, even in that power dynamic comes because she's my mother.
Yeah.
She's my sister.
Yeah.
Like my responsibility. I
Correct.
have taken this theka off from protecting their honor or whatever, perceived honor and all that
Correct.
bullshit, right?
Correct.
But I'm so glad you said the last statement. How should men behave so that your mother feels, because that is the only way to reach out to these men. There's no other way.
Yeah.
Correct.
And these men are the majority.
Yeah, that's the only
They
way.
are the majority.
That's the only way. Like, why must we say, wo, she's somebody's sister, she's somebody, why do we have to say that?
क्योंकि उनको समझ ही नहीं आया.
No,
That's the
because
only way
no,
you
no,
get
in
empathy.
that also we are feeding into the patriarchy. She
We
is
are-
somebody's sister.
We are.
She is somebody's, like, the only, so basically you're still ascribing a woman's worth to the fact that she's your mother,
Your
she's
mother.
my daughter or whatever, my wife.
So yeah,
Basically, we are boosting their egos, and that's wrong.
patriarchy, and also
You understand what I'm
that is
saying?
the only
Yeah.
way they can trigger their emotional
Correct.
guilt.
So which
That,
is
oh,
worse?
would you
Which
like
is
it
worse?
if this happens to your family member? Then why would you do it to
But
somebody else?
you actually brought up something interesting actually. Once एक बार देख लेते हैं which is worse. Is solving the problem of men understanding this or making them understand not in a way where we're talking about.
We have to treat them like idiots.
Correct.
We have to treat them like, see, the very fact that somebody has such thoughts, like you said, red flag, right? If somebody's hurting animals,
Yeah.
These are red flags. If somebody's harboring such thoughts and emotions, they stop being human, and you have to treat them like an idiot. We have to degrade ourselves to their level.
Don't you think, let's talk about men at large who have conducted or done monstrous activities, they would still feel a sense of protection towards their mother or their sister, but they still go out there and do it. Do you think so? Like,
Yeah, they do.
They
Because
do.
that's the only way to appeal to their senses, right?
no, I'm saying ki even if they know that they do not want a mishap to happen with their loved ones, they're still dealing with somebody else's loved ones wrongly. Do you think that is also happening?
Of
or
course.
You
yeah.
guys saw that movie Maharaja?
I haven't.
Okay.
Tell me about it.
I mean, it'll be a huge spoiler. So if you guys haven't seen it, you can skip for the next 2 minutes. And are you guys going to watch it?
No.
There's a guy who rapes a girl.
Okay.
Okay. And he's a crook. His boss has the habit of ransacking a house, stealing a house, and then allowing him to rape whoever is in the house.
Okay.
So they come into a house, they steal whatever is there. If there's a woman there, that smaller crook wants to go at her, and so the bigger crook is like, "Haan, theek hai, kar le." So
Just a small question.
yeah.
The crook is not the protagonist, right?
no,
Okay. Thank God.
yeah, no. And another one day he wants to take revenge on somebody, and he goes there. His daughter is there. The man is not there, and so this guy, as usual, he's sitting outside, and he's like, "Ha, you go and do whatever you want with her." And the twist is that at the end of the movie, through a bunch of coincidences, it turns out that the man who he wanted to take revenge on had lost his daughter and ended up adopting a girl who turns out to be the crook's daughter,
Oh.
which he finds out in the last scene. And for him, everything flips. Because I let somebody rape my own daughter. And now, suddenly, he's a terrible person in his own mind. Which till now, he was
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
At that level, it is clear that this is a person who is only in limbic. He cannot make any complex arguments. You cannot make a complex argument to him. You cannot talk about right and wrong. You cannot talk of morality. He will only understand when it is personal. If we are talking about humans at that level, then we are actually wasting time doing complex arguments. If there are human beings like this out there,
If nahi, there are. There's no
I
if.
actually remove the if.
The thing
know
is,
there are.
how? Okay, so then my question to you is like, recently you and I made a video
Yeah,
about consent,
Yeah.
and we explained it in terms of chai.
yeah,
If somebody, if you offer chai to somebody, they say yes, you give it to them.
yeah,
You offer chai to somebody, they say no, you don't give it to them.
yeah.
Right? We basically tried explaining it to a 5-year-old, and we were doing, and it's unfortunate, but that is how we have to reach to adult men.
Yeah.
How do we see? The thing is, we acknowledge the problem that there are men who exist who will not want anything to happen to their mothers or sisters, but who will go around doing that. How do we reach to them, or how do we
Yeah.
change that?
One of the unfortunate things about that reel that I noticed was that the comments were, I don't know if you went through the comments, but 90% women being either thankful that somebody made this reel or depressed that somebody had to make this reel or sad that इससे भी कुछ नहीं होगा, फायदा नहीं होगा. 5% men being like,
Not all men.
no, 5% men were like, okay, good job guys. And 5% men were like, ये क्या है? इसमें कोई मतलब है क्या? Not all men.
Not all men.
Not
all those
Did
not
you
all
receive
men.
like bad comments that sort of show you society as it is? Were there those?
Yeah,
There
there were a
were-
few.
there
I'd
were-
screenshotted them.
Do you remember them?
Yeah, so there was one that says, अरे पिला के देखने के बाद ही तो उसको पता चलेगा.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. That's the problem. So out of many comments, there was one, but then that one fucks it up for everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So here was my take on it. So it really bothered me after seeing those comments. And I really started thinking about what is the role of men overall. Because I understood the problem. Any man who is not violent will look at this and say, oh, I am not like that. Hence, this is not my problem.
Yes.
There's nothing for me to do.
Yeah.
मैं क्या करूँ?
Yeah.
This is मैं थोड़ी ना ये कर रहा हूँ. In other words,
Not
I
all
am
men. Not all men.
not all
This
men.
is all. This is
In other words,
exactly
not
not
all
all
men.
men.
In other words, I am a good man. I am a good guy. Okay. And I realized that there is a problem here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay? It's the good guy conflict. I've
Correct.
called it a good guy conflict. So if you are a good guy, which I'm assuming that all guys watching today's episode is a good guy.
And the standard is really low because
Standard
it just
is
really low because it just means you're not raping.
Standard is really low.
That
Standard
is your standard.
if somebody says no to your chai, you don't offer them chai. It is that low. But if it
Chai
is,
means sex.
yeah.
Consent.
yeah.
It was a metaphor
It's a
for
metaphor for
consent.
consent. So if you're a good guy, what do you do? What is your role as the good guy? And where do you fuck up? Okay. So there are, I have realized, 3 ways in which you fuck up as a good guy. And I promise you that all of us have fucked up.
Batao.
Okay. Number 1 is when, because of you, something that you said or did, some girl somewhere felt unsafe.
Okay.
That's one.
Okay. Unsafe. Like, ooh, I wish he had not said that or did that. Okay. Number 2. You have not done or said anything to make a girl feel unsafe, but you have sat next to somebody
Someone who did.
who has made a girl
Enabler.
feel unsafe. ठीक है? And by this time, we are all in it. Like we've all
Yes.
done one of these 2 things.
Absolutely.
Number 3, suppose if you're one of those extremely rare men who have neither made a girl feel unsafe or been with anyone who has made a girl feel unsafe, then you will not raise your voice against this topic overall.
You'll just shut up.
You just shut up.
Because in your head, you've thought you're a good man.
Yes.
I'm not around people who don't say bad things.
Yes.
I don't say bad things.
Yes.
My society is making women feel comfortable.
Is good.
But you're not raising a voice for the better good.
If you think this, highly likely that you have not asked the women in your life what has happened and nobody's confided in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is next to impossible that you are of this category. But even if you are, and if you have not raised your voice, that means that a woman can't come to you and ask you for raising your voice if something were to happen.
Let's
So,
resolve
have
the
you-
good guy conflict, actually.
So actually, there's a we'll come to that, but this reminds me of a quote by Dante. The darkest place in hell are reserved for those who maintain the neutrality in times of moral crisis.
Yeah.
This is from the Inferno by Dante.
And this particular discussion has been a moral crisis forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a moment in war.
Yeah.
It is ongoing. It is just that recent events have brought this to light, like it has multiple times in the past, but it is never.
But I'll tell you something. So that's when you spoke about, people not, when men think not all men, we are good guys, we don't do that. But you'll see these same men, right? They'll protest when there is a farmers' protest.
Yeah.
They'll raise their voice when, there is an anti-democratic law which is probably passed by the government, or, they'll raise their voice when it is some sort of oppression that they see, black versus white, upper caste, lower caste, like whatever, right? Like
the biggest oppression in their eyes is...
Yeah, but they'll turn a blind eye to this.
Because it's not personal.
It's not personal, that's the thing.
Till there, farmers are being
from a protest hua to theek hai, Israel
wrong.
Palestine hua whatever.
Correct.
Like people are always raising their voice, CAA bill, like whatever.
Yeah.
You'll find these men come out on the streets, murcha,
Because they are good guys.
They are good guys.
And they have to be on the
They
side
are
of the
good.
good. This is a problem. This is a conflict. And to be very honest, I have realized that okay, anybody who's been in a relationship will know that if your partner is, and if you're a guy, and if your partner is upset with you, our first reaction is to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a guy thing.
Sorry. Jo bhi maine kiya, sorry. Let's. You don't want to remain in that situation where you have fucked up, and your priority is to make her feel better. And for the longest time, I thought, of course, I don't want to see her hurt.
Yeah.
It was only very recently that I understood that it's not about her being hurt. She's not upset about her hurt. She wants you to stay in that moment and just absorb it. And I've realized that staying in the moment and absorbing it is next to impossible for guys. It is very, very difficult. So I have empathy for guys who have to go through this conversation about how you think you're a good guy, but you're not. It kuch to karta hai andar. Like, you feel like getting out of this conversation.
Yeah.
You want to say something, anything.
Yeah.
You want to say, don't women do this.
Yeah.
You say, but I've never done. You want to say something to break the tension. Because it sucks to just sit in silence and be here. But I feel, that probably one of the most helpful things we can do is to publicly acknowledge that
we have messed up.
We have messed up.
Our gender has messed up.
And not jump to offering solutions.
Yeah. Be in that moment, absorb the same heat that they're going through.
Yes.
Live with it for a bit.
Yes.
And then come to a solution.
It is not our job to offer solutions immediately.
Yeah.
And it is so tricky.
Yeah.
It is so tricky, right? And
I think part of it does it because that's our coping mechanism also. If we offer a solution, baat khatam ho jayegi.
So basically what is happening is all of men are in a relationship with all of women. And the woman is saying, bhai, you fucked up.
Yeah.
And the man is like, oh, okay, let me do this. Let me do this.
Yeah. She wants you to understand what you've done. Understand where you fucked up.
Correct. And not just pretend to understand.
Why do you think we're having this conversation now? I was just sitting and thinking about it. We're all in our 30s, more or less.
Yeah.
We will be in a bit. I don't want to raise my daughter in this environment.
Yeah.
It's simple. We spoke about mothers, sisters, make it more personal. What you feel for your child is a love that you cannot feel for anyone else. I don't want to raise my daughter in this environment. Either of you all don't want to raise your daughter in this environment. How do we fix this? Let's have actionable points, because of course, we've discussed this. We've made people understand what we're talking about. You said people are dumb. Men are dumb.
Yeah.
Men are idiots. They're
Yeah.
not understanding. Let's tell them what to do. So we can move past such basic conversations. Imagine in the last 40 minutes, we've touched upon one thing, that women are feeling unsafe.
Yeah.
We've not moved on to patriarchy. We've not moved on to equality. We've not moved on to chivalry. Nothing. We've only spoken about one thing.
Yeah.
How do we move on? How does a good guy resolve the good guy conflict?
If somebody's having a good guy conflict, they're obviously not good guys.
Okay.
Okay, for example, if you see a man beating his son, right, in front of you, he's thrashing his son, you'll obviously go and stop him. No,
Correct.
Arey, itna mat maar,
Correct.
bachcha hai, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Right? He's not my father, he's not my brother, but you'll still go and stop that, right? You will not stand, you won't be quiet.
Yeah.
No, that's not my problem, that's his problem. Staying quiet, or no, because that is not a sign of a good guy. You're not a true male. तुम असली मर्द नहीं हो.
अगर तुम चुप हो.
अगर तुम चुप हो, तुम किस बात, what are you so proud, किस बात का मर्द हो, like what is मर्द मत, whatever it is, right? You're not a true male. It's as simple as that. You're if you feel you're a good, no, you're not a guy. You're spineless.
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually don't know how to fix this. That's the thing. I'm
I
at
think
my
it's
wit's
simple.
end. Yeah, I'm at my wit's
Let's
end.
go point by point. The first thing is speak up. If ever, and we've all been in these surroundings, number one is, sort of
Speak up. Yeah, speak. Yeah,
not do it yourself.
Yeah.
Have an understanding of why you are not doing it. Why do you want to make women feel safe? Because you like feeling safe. Correct? Every human being is entitled to feeling safe. So let's start with not making women feel unsafe. How do you do that for a regular guy?
Have you guys made anyone feel unsafe?
I think I have. I remember.
You don't have to.
I'll tell you
say.
the incident, because I think this is an incident that happens very commonly.
Okay.
You're walking on a street at 11 o'clock, and I've seen this happen, right?
Yeah, it has happened.
I'm walking behind the girl,
Yeah.
and I see her turning
I
back
know,
3-4 times.
This has happened, and I feel so guilty. I'm
Very
like,
guilty.
I feel so bad. I'm like, no.
Because we are the good guy, right? Why is she
Yeah.
feeling unsafe?
Yeah.
It's because we
Yeah.
aren't.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Correct.
So immediate actionables.
I stop. I let her like
Yes.
walk, maintain some distance, or
or cross over to the other side. Simple.
Yeah. That's happened with me many
Yeah.
times. Yeah, if I'm in a lift,
Yeah.
and I'm alone in a lift, and another woman comes. Sometimes I just feel them getting tensed.
Absolutely. I always try
So
and
I just-
stand
I
in
just-
front of the woman,
Yeah,
because she's thinking I'm watching her.
exactly.
In
Yeah,
a train, a woman thinks twice before
Yeah.
she wants to come and sit between you. She never wants to sit between two men.
Yeah.
These are all clear signs, right?
Yeah.
So this is one addressal. The second thing is we need to start speaking up. It's
we
as
need
simple
to.
as
Yeah,
that.
we need to start speaking up. That's the thing.
The moment we see anything happening unjust,
Yeah.
talk. Whether it's your friend, your father, your brother, whoever it is.
Correct.
Have the same level of outrage that you will for any other issue which
Yes.
doesn't concern you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a.
Yeah.
So stand up.
So next time when your friend talks, talks about a girl like she's not human, toko him. Tell him that it's wrong.
Yeah,
Even
this-
if it
this-
makes you look like a pussy or not manly enough,
Yeah.
you have to stop him.
Yeah, this
You have to
like
stop
this
these
locker
conversations.
room talk and
Yeah,
this,
the locker room talk.
this boys will be boys. You know,
Yeah.
like अरे हम लड़का लोग तो ऐसे ही बात.
Yeah.
No, ऐसे that's wrong. It's we don't.
It is wrong.
You know, ये जो लड़का लोग ऐसे ही बात करते हैं, boys are like the नटखट है. They don't talk like that about their friends' male relatives.
They don't.
like
And
that.
bro, it needs to be done. 'cause
Right? It's always about the female relatives.
we have to acknowledge that we are not going to be able to fix this problem in this generation.
Of course not. It takes
It's
time.
your children who will not have to rationalize the way we are rationalizing.
I don't know about that actually. Because I feel that there is there is precedence in people changing behavior. There is it's just a matter of how many people want it and how clearly do they want it. It shouldn't be a vague thing. What is the change that we want to see? If this is clear in everyone's head, then I don't think we have to wait for a generation. I don't think it's fair to say that we can't fix this in our generation.
But I'm being very realistic with you, Warrior. You cannot fix this in a generation because what you're trying to append is
unlearn years
your
of
generations worth of conditioning.
Yeah.
Generations worth of conditioning. You know, there are, it is almost considered normal or natural for one man to have many wives in certain communities. But imagine that one woman having more than one man. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Correct.
Disastrous.
But it's not that it's not happened, right? Because
What I'm trying to say
we
that
unlearn generations of conditioning multiple times.
Yeah.
I mean, people used to wake up at 4 a.m. before, and people used to walk everywhere.
And it's happened in one generation.
Yeah,
You're right.
it's just a matter of is it in their interest? I think we give it too much importance, generational conditioning. If it is in everyone's interest to change, people will change overnight.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait. The problem is it is not in people's interest to change. People like this system. And this is where patriarchy does come in.
Yeah.
It is a good system.
It's convenient for
It's
the men.
convenient for us.
Yes.
Us,
all
yeah.
men, most men. It is convenient. And so the system to change, there has to be a very, very good reason.
Yeah.
Which is why these conversations
Are needed.
Yeah.
So we can never say it cannot change in a generation. Because if it doesn't change in this generation, it will not change in the next generation. Because they will just inherit our problems.
Yeah.
That's it. What will change? Why should anything change?
Let's talk about patriarchy. We spoke about safety. I think most people who are watching this understand the emotion, understand that it needs to change. They need to speak up. That's the CTA from this conversation, right? Make women feel safe and prevent your friends from making them feel unsafe. I think that's a doable CTA to start with. Let's not try reaching for the stars.
That is homework for day number 1.
That is homework for day number 1. Let's move on to patriarchy. What does it mean? I didn't know what patriarchy was till about 5 years ago. I didn't know the meaning of that word.
How did you come to know?
Internet. My friends, my girlfriend, she told me that the way you're behaving or what you've been learning or what you've been putting out, it's patriarchal. And then I looked it up. But for the viewers, what is patriarchy?
Male-dominated and a male-driven society.
Male-dominated and a male-driven
So, for example, there are certain matriarchal societies also.
Okay.
There are matriarchal tribes in our country.
Okay.
Where they also polyandrous. One woman is also allowed to take multiple.
Very rarely now.
No, but these are exceptions.
Like a honeybee colony, essentially.
Like a honeybee colony where like one woman is also allowed to take multiple husbands. These are there are certain matriarchal societies, right? It would be interesting. Like I'm just
so matriarchal societies are different from polyandrous. There are many matriarchal societies.
Of course,
coincidentally, both is what he meant.
I'm talking about like this one particular tribe is also matriarchal and it's also okay. Elephants are matriarchal.
Yes.
Right. Elephants are matriarchal. The female elephant is the pack leader. She's the herd leader.
I grew up in a matriarchal society. So in Kerala, there are some certain sects there are certain sections which are matriarchal. And matriarchal is it all comes down to inheritance. It comes down to power. And what is power? It is land, it is house, money, finances. So I grew up in a house where both on my mother's side and on my father's side, my grandmoms inherited the house. So on both sides, my grandfathers were living in the house that my grandmother grew up in. Because they got it. Because their house, my grandfather's house, went to their sisters.
Interesting.
So
is life different when you grow up in a matriarchal?
I didn't know. I mean, I thought this was normal.
Oh, that's what he's always experienced. Okay, so I'm just speculating, like food for thought. What are the incidents of sexual crimes in matriarchal societies?
I have no idea about that data. We'll have to look it up.
We'll have to look it up.
My mind tells me even that might be fucked up.
I don't think it's going to be
the answer to patriarchy is not matriarchy.
It isn't. I think the
Yeah.
answer is to not give anyone the power. Because most crimes stem out of
So basically,
the
it's-
imbalance of
it's
power and
not-
control.
No, most crimes stem out of an inability to control your emotions. You cannot have a society without imbalance of power.
Imbalance is the norm.
It is so that is out. Whatever you
Imbalance
do,
will
Between the
exist.
genders,
The genders are
between
not. The
gender.
genders are not.
they're not the same, but
they're
they're
not the
supposed
s-
to be. You deserve an equal space,
So,
right?
okay.
equal space and rights, but they're not the same.
I'll tell you an example.
But that cannot be the way of discriminating. For example, like in South Africa, people were discriminated on the basis of black and white.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? That cannot be the way to discriminate. Like we might laugh at it that really like this is what, right? Because we have our own problems. Gender. Right? But so I'm sorry, I've just
Bro, gender is a worldwide problem.
Huh.
Women
Yeah.
weren't given the right to vote
Yeah.
till 1950, 1960
Whatever,
in
yeah.
America. So
Correct.
it is a problem. Why does this problem come up? Because men have never thought women were equal. Men have never thought that women are capable of doing things that they do.
Yeah.
They are the providers, is why you have
But
control.
you know, it's so
over
funny
them.
because, you know, and it's not funny, it's sad because I was speaking to Meher and she made me realize this. When men think that women are not capable or, you know, women cannot take good decisions or women are not, you know, you cannot trust them in positions of power because they may be moody or whatever, like nonsense people have to say. Women are always making decisions which affect their day-to-day life, which affect their safety, you
Yeah.
know, whether this, you know, correct road to go to or not, does that person give correct vibes or not, will I be safe around them, right?
Yeah.
And these judgments they're making on an everyday basis, we rarely get to make those.
Yeah.
We put in those positions, right?
Yeah.
Women are making decisions which either affect their life, they might be dead, or they might get raped, or you know, like it's this, it's sad. And
you
I
know
would have
the-
never thought about this. Like, you know, Meher made me realize this.
Yeah, like the biggest fear that a man has
Hmm.
in when it comes to this patriarchy concept is that you give a woman power and it turns out that she can do the job as well as you. Or she
Yeah.
can do it better than
Better
you.
than you.
Hmm.
And if that thought makes you feel insecure, that is patriarchy.
Got it.
Right there. So a lot of men would not even want to try it.
Yeah.
They would much rather say पहले से कि यार नहीं कर पाएगी यार.
Hmm.
Because what if she does? That changes my entire belief system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now, what is happening is that across the world, we are finding out that of course women can do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because biologically, of course they can.
Yeah.
They have the
Yeah.
same brain.
Yeah.
They have this.
Yeah.
Everything is
exactly.
the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There was a point in time when a lot of the things that needed to be done needed a lot of physical strength.
Hmm.
That problem is over,
Yeah.
right? Men and women are both punching keyboard keys.
Absolutely.
Done. That argument is over. Right? A laborer at a construction site is still pulling levers. We have eliminated the advantage of physical strength.
Yeah.
There is no job that a woman can't do anymore because of technology, because of all of that. So we can understand why in 1000 BC there was a difference. We can understand why even in 1700 there was a difference. But in 2024 or even in the last 50 years,
There's no difference.
it's there. It's almost out. Sure, there are specific situations where you have to lift a brick or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
But that's not even what we're talking about
Yeah.
anymore, right? We are talking of soft collar, blue collar jobs. We're talking
Yeah.
of IT. We're talking of all of these
Defense.
spaces. Defense.
fighter pilots.
How do again? Let's come to a solution. You mentioned that patriarchy will not change because it's inconvenient to men.
Yeah.
It does. It's counterintuitive.
It's inconvenient to insecure men.
to insecure,
insecure
men.
men?
Yeah.
How do we change this? I believe if the concept of stay-at-home dads was made normal, things could change. If it was okay for me to sit and watch my children while my wife
Absolutely.
went out and did the work without anyone judging me for it, the world would be a better place.
Have you seen this happen more and more?
Yeah.
Like
I've been
I know a couple of
considering
people
it.
who are doing this.
My girlfriend makes more money than I do. Do I have a problem with it? No, absolutely not. Why do men have a problem with their wives making more money than them? Why do men
Their sense of self-worth.
Their sense of self-worth.
and ego
Correct.
is shattered.
which means a
Because
man
they were supposed to be the provider.
yeah,
not the provided.
Correct.
You know, that challenges their patriarchy. That, oh, I was supposed to be the one who would go to the jungle and get you logs, and you were supposed to be the one who would just cook the
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
And you have you have
Turned it around.
turned it around by, oh,
Correct.
you are capable of doing that. Oh,
So again,
what is
brings us
my
back. We got to raise our voice. If we've identified
insecure
men who are
insecure men?
yeah. So secure men like us apparently
Yeah.
should be
Oh,
helping
I
women in that
wouldn't-
fight, right?
I wouldn't go that far. I would just say that we, at best, at least I would call myself somebody who is becoming aware of his insecurity.
Absolutely.
At best, I would not call myself a secure,
Secure
man.
man.
Because it's one thing to talk about it logically, but it's another thing to feel it.
Yeah.
And I know that there are struggles that I go through,
Yeah.
and those are my struggles. And I feel like I have been, while the awareness part sucked, ever since I had it, it has only gotten better.
Yeah.
My conversations with my wife has gotten better. I have understood things. So here's the tricky thing. I have understood things that I thought I understood before,
Mm,
but turns out I didn't.
yeah.
After I understood that you cannot get rid of insecurity like that. Getting rid of insecurity is a work in progress.
Yes.
Because we do identify with our work. We do identify our self-worth with our work. So if you are removing that, that takes work. You have to put in work to do that. And the unfortunate truth is that not many men are willing to put in that work.
Mm,
So I think it all boils down to the fact that how does a parent, look after or take care of a child's insecurity? Because if you
Yes.
are able to crack
Hmm.
that,
yeah.
we are going to be able to crack this.
Yeah.
Because we have to apply that same formula.
Hmm.
So either we need to get down and speak to preschool teachers, pre-nursery teachers, and ask them how do they deal with, because there's so many different types of children. How do they deal with insecurities in children, or how do parents deal with insecurities in children? For example, we know when a second child is born, the first child might get insecure, the older child might get insecure. How do you deal with that? Why? So because it all boils, who are committing these, I'm not saying committing these crimes, but the men who are not talking about it, the men who are not voicing it, the men,
Yeah.
they are also insecure at some at some
Yeah,
deep
yeah,
down level.
absolutely.
So it all boils down to, and I think now while having this conversation, I just figured it out. I don't know how to, but you'd figure if you know how to deal with somebody's insecurity, I think we can fix this.
Even what you said was so right. The awareness of the presence of an insecurity is paramount.
Yeah.
Put yourself in that position, feel insecure, listen to conversations, understand that your insecurity is not real. There is no reason for you to feel that, and then start taking measures to make it better for you and your wife or you and your
So exactly
parents.
what your parent would say. You're the older child, right?
Yes.
It's like saying that your parents will sit you down and say that, listen, yes, there is another baby in the house, but we love you both equally.
Yes.
We don't love you more. If they start saying that, no,
Then they're honing that same behavior.
then you're screwed.
Yeah.
Because if they say no, if you become a pacifist and say no,
Correct.
you have nothing to be fearful. Yes, there's a new baby in the house, but no, we love you more. Oh, you have lost the battle. What I was gonna ask you guys was, do you think this, the three of us, is what big dick energy looks like? But do you think this is what big dick energy is?
We did want to have just three guys on the show talking, and ये conversation तो होना ही था.
No, this is not big dick energy.
No,
This is not big
no. Big dick energy is what? What do you mean by big dick
Okay,
energy?
in my head,
Alpha.
big dick energy
Or
is alpha. Yes.
Alpha, right? And what is alpha? Alpha is somebody who's secure.
That I agree.
Is he?
This part
Is
I
an
agree.
alpha secure, or is he fighting harder because he's insecure of losing his position?
So the
that is-
original term alpha, the original meaning is that leader,
Leader,
Secure.
secure. He's secure.
and that whole thing about leaders eat last, taking care of everyone else, all of that is actually alpha energy. The problem is that if an insecure man wants to be alpha, they're trying so hard to be alpha that it's very evident that he's trying to be alpha.
Bro, but जो तुमने अभी alpha describe की, I have not seen an alpha in life then. A person who is leading not wanting recognition, eating last, taking care of his pack.
No, but okay.
Like तुम्हारे बाप के अलावा और कोई अल्फा मैंने देखा नहीं है,
No,
technically
no.
speaking.
For example, let's say you're in the forces, okay? A good leader or a good commanding officer is one who brings all his men back alive. Or, for example, the captain will not leave the ship till the entire crew and the captain will go down with the ship.
Have any of y'all felt this way? Like felt like this alpha energy within you?
I do actually.
I haven't
And
felt
sometimes,
this way.
and no, I actually, and I'm actually taking therapy for it, you know, because I have this,
Need.
no, this is not a god but like, sorry, it's a very bad word, but like the feel that you always want to help the other person, or you provide for the other person. Like I've always felt like I've been, or I want to be a provider. Because be it whatever, be it a medical query at the middle of the night, but I feel that no, they need me. I should help them because I feel good about it. It's like a people pleasing thing.
Yeah, I think I was just going to say that
It's a
sometimes
people
it can overlap with that
Yeah.
energy. Like the only time when I have felt the leader role is
In this podcast.
residency. Honestly, this podcast is like a locker room talk with cameras.
Yeah.
And ideally, I
Kinky.
But complete that. In residency,
in residency, when I was in my third year, tabhi I felt it. Which is that, okay, I have this ward. I have whatever, 80, 100 patients admitted under me. I have a junior who's just come in and they're like, what, 2-3 months into residency. I remember how shit scared I was. I remember the great senior residents who really helped me. And I'm like, okay, fuck. Got to step up. And it wasn't that it wasn't that I know what I'm doing. It was that I need to know what I'm doing. So there's no option. Like
No, but I'm telling you, why I always felt you have that alpha vibe, and I'm not saying I'm great, but I feel, because I feel that too, right? You just said when you were a third year resident and you were registrar and your JR1s came,
Yeah.
we've also had seniors who were very toxic to us,
Oh yeah, for sure.
right? Just because, like, you know, things were screwed for us and now we're going to make it hell for you.
Yeah, for sure.
You were not the person who did that.
No. It was very clear कि भाई ऐसा तो नहीं बनना.
ऐसा तो नहीं होना चाहिए, ऐसा नहीं करेंगे, and you led by example. If somebody messed up, you would show them the place, but in the correct channel, like in the correct way of doing it, right?
Correct.
Like, see, there are only two ways of making somebody learn a new habit or whatever. It's either through negative reinforcement,
Yeah.
positive reinforcement, or punishment.
Yeah.
Right?
Punishment would be negative reinforcement.
मतलब either positive reinforcement or punishment.
Yeah, correct.
Positive reinforcement is far stronger.
And
it is a far better way of inculcating a habit.
I don't know, man. My experience doesn't say that.
I would say that positive reinforcement is tougher to execute for the person who is doing it because you have to put in effort.
Bro, but people just take you for granted. Like, I'll give you an example. Food Darzi, right? So, Anirudh, my co-founder, he's like the CEO and I was like the CEO. Anirudh was negative reinforcement. कि तुमने गलती करी, गांड मार दो भाई, like that. And I was like the agony aunt. तुमने गलती क्यों करी? How can we make it better? All of that. I got taken for granted. Everybody was scared of Anirudh. The company ran on fear and it worked. Because people, bro, the thing is, people don't
So
care
when you say
enough
good
about...
cop, bad cop, but the good cop also has fear. The good cop is not a fucker who's there. Yes, he's a good cop, but he's still a cop. You understand? Yes, he's a lenient senior, or yes, warrior sir अच्छे हैं, but he's still the senior.
So
and the thing is, the loudest, the empty vessels make the most noise.
So here's the thing.
And that's what big dick energy is.
Here's the thing. Never assume that the power dynamic does not exist for a reason. Okay. Now, if you are a senior, you are not being nice to your juniors by saying that there is no hierarchy here. You are not doing them any favor. The only favor you can do is by giving whatever knowledge you have to them,
Yeah.
but they still need someone to look up to.
Yeah.
And you removing that equation is doing a disservice to them because you got that advantage.
Yeah.
Because we
Correct.
all need someone to look up to and we all, more important than that, we all need someone who we think have our backs when we fuck up.
Similar
And
thing.
that is the power dynamic. So the power dynamic is actually a good thing
Yeah.
wherever it is, unless misused. So this is the tricky part. I think this is where the nuance comes in. That, don't you think there is a power dynamic where women have more power than men? Do you think it's only men who have more power on women? Anybody who's been in a relationship
Agreed.
would know
Thank you for touching that topic, actually.
that it is not one way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of abuse that can happen the other way around as well, which
True.
is wrong.
Correct.
Yeah.
So one right does not make, one wrong does not make another wrong right.
Yeah.
So wherever there is a power imbalance,
Balance.
what we have to point out is that the problem is not the power imbalance. The problem is if whoever has less power has no opportunity to get to more power.
Yeah.
So in capitalism, the problem is not that one person is richer and the other person is poorer. That is the nature of economy. There was an experiment that was done where there were 50 people in a room. Everybody was given 5 cookies. And they were told to go around the room exchanging cookies. And they were asked to negotiate for things. And within 30 minutes, some 4 people ended up with 40 cookies. And everybody else had 4. It is the nature of the world that there is going to be hoarding. It is the nature of the world that power imbalance happens. What we as a society, and maybe it is too much to expect for all of society to understand this, but if we are having a conversation at this level, we should understand that power imbalance exists. Now, the problem happens when corruption kicks in, so that whoever has less has now no opportunity to get to the top.
Yeah.
If there is a flow, then the system is going to sustain.
That is a healthy environment. Now, put yourself in the relationship.
Yeah.
There is a flow of power.
There is a flow of power.
Yeah.
So if, suppose, me and my wife are walking down the road and somebody comes in and behaves aggressively with us. If I say that there is no power imbalance here, she will take care of herself, I will take care of myself. Right? I can run faster, I will run away.
Yeah.
Does that sound fair?
No.
So why even pretend that it is fair? It is not fair. Can we just grow up and accept that if there is a equation where my advantages can help her,
certain advantages of
Certain
yours
advantages.
can help you in certain situations.
Correct.
And her certain advantages can
Correct.
help in certain situations.
So if I come back home and I behave in a way that is not right for her, she has all the power to tell me to fuck off. Or to tell me that this behavior is not acceptable. This is the way that I want the house to be. This is the way that I want things to be.
So think of it like we have that with our parents,
Yes.
right? No, I'm just thinking about it. Like, we speak about women. The minute we speak about somebody of our generation, and we're reiterating the fact that no, men have, the power imbalance exists and there has to be a transfer of power. Come to think of it, our mothers, right? Although they are women, which means physically they are not as strong, no one's debating that. Now we are adult men. You will teri phategi.
Yeah. You still listen to your mom.
Yeah. Not just phategi, but yeah, of course you listen to.
Bro, this is the part that has me troubled. Similar background, similar conditioning. I felt my mother, or now Mahima, whatever, they have been driving a lot of stuff that happens within the house. In a good way.
They have always driven.
They are the alphas.
Of course. One second. In our houses, our mothers are the alpha.
Definite alphas.
Yeah.
Yeah. our fathers literally, they don't know what is
So
happening.
what
Like, there
have
have been
our
situations-
households done different to have a woman alpha in the house? In a lot
But
of
the house has always been run across the globe, Bhargav. Even in patriarchal societies, at home, woman is alpha.
नहीं तो ये सब चुतियापा आता कहाँ से है फिर? If the woman is alpha, if you've submitted your power
I
within
don't
the
think it is
house,
a global thing, because I'll tell you why. It's about valuing that power.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So somebody might have power.
A secure man values the power that his
Yes.
wife has
Yes.
above him.
But if you are insecure, you will say that, oh, so what if you're in charge of all this? I don't care.
I earn the money, so I am in charge.
I'm in charge. So that is insecurity.
Yeah.
That my power is more valuable than your power. So that is absolute insecurity. And that is where it gets fucked up. If there is a healthy distribution of power, then it's a good relationship. And there cannot be a relationship where there is equal everything.
So, do you feel men, insecure men who do all this is because they didn't have good relationships with their mothers? Because they've never understood that.
It's possible that their
Dynamics.
mothers never had a good relationship with their father. It's
You
a
understand,
chicken and egg problem.
wait,
It's a chicken and egg problem.
You understand,
Yeah.
no? Because
But can I just say, and this might be controversial, but just like how I don't want to blame evolution for human
you don't want to,
behavior,
you cannot blame bad parenting on it.
after a certain
lack of
age, I believe that every man, woman, every human being is somewhere responsible for their state
Yeah.
of mind,
Absolutely.
and whatever their childhood has been, whatever. If you've had a privileged childhood, acknowledge that you've had a privileged childhood. Be kind to others. If you've not had a privileged childhood, acknowledge that you've not had a privileged childhood. Learn how to fix it. Take help.
Yeah.
But to blame that and take that forward and put it onto others, I feel that at some level we have to stop excusing that. Because where does it end?
Yeah.
It's like my senior behaved badly with me, that's why I'm
Yeah,
behaving badly.
Correct.
So if we can empathize, but we can't excuse.
Yeah.
There is a difference. So while we understand that, bro, you had a tough childhood, fix it. Or show me that you're fixing it.
Yeah.
You can't come into everybody else's life and spew toxicity onto us because you've had a tough childhood. Because we didn't have that. So we will help you recover if you are our friend, but don't give us that shit. So this line has to be very clearly drawn, because I've seen as our understanding of psychology improves, everything is childhood.
Yeah.
We will all understand that. But does that, this is the new evolution.
This is the new evolution.
कि यार ये तो evolution है.
Adults are children who understand consequences better.
Who are supposed to understand
Who are supposed to
consequences
understand
better.
consequences better.
So we will not make that mistake again.
Yeah, I have another burning question I couldn't control. How does a person or a boy in their house, when he sees their father beat up their mother, how is he okay with it? How?
They're not.
They're not.
No. Then how is it still happening? You know, we touched upon
Because like, okay, he's a young boy.
even if he's a 20-year-old, does he also start hitting his wife?
No,
is he learning what his father is doing?
Too generic. I mean, we cannot. Everybody will react differently. So there are kids who grow up in a horrible household and say, "Kuch bhi karo, I will not be like this."
ऐसा नहीं बनेंगे.
So they might become exact opposites depending on. A child is exposed to close to infinite experiences. The books that they read, what their friends say. It's a small Amar Chitra Katha story could be the one defining anchor in their life. They might read one story of, I don't know, Ram and Sita, for example, and say, this is how it should be. And then they will see everything in that context. And say, ye sab jo ho raha hai, kitna galat hai. We should do this. And that can be the one thing. You cannot predict what is going to hinge a child's entire thought process.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you a crazy example. Okay, I was 9 years old. We had gone to Pattaya as a family and friends. We had gone to Pattaya. Wahan pe we were doing parasailing. Okay, I've never done parasailing. I was 9 or something. They said, "Haan, kids can go." I was whatever. They put a jacket on me, tied me to a boat. The boat went. I was running. I went up. I was crying initially. Then I went up. I realized, oh, I love this.
Yeah.
Went around once, came back. My mom was next. She was scared. And they were like, "Arey, paisa to de diya hai. Waste ho jayega." I said, "I will go." I was still scared, but I said, "I'll go." And everybody said, "Arey, you are such a brave boy. You like these risk taking. You like adventure sports." And I went again. That has stayed with me, and it has become a core aspect of my personality. That now, if anywhere anything is like, "Arey, bungee jumping करना है, हाँ करते ना. Skydiving करना, अरे करते ना. क्या करना है, तू बोल ना, करते ना." It is core now. Because of that
One defining
moment where I still remember that auntie's face. कि अरे सिद्धार्थ कितना brave लड़का है. That's it. It is that unpredictable. So if something good can happen like this, imagine something bad happening.
Yeah.
You see your
You are
dad
what
hitting
you-
your mom,
yeah.
then
something is it's
Do you have a defining moment like that?
I mean, not like this. I am what I am today, and the way I talk, the way I speak, the way I feel, the way I think is because of all my past experiences, and now I'm being aware of that.
bro,
The mo-
trust me, you have a defining experience.
I
You
don't.
will-
I just don't
it
know
just-
what.
one day
I
it just
just don't know.
clicks.
Yeah, the thing is, it's obviously there in my subconscious.
Yes.
That's why I'm choosing to be like this.
Yes.
The more I do therapy, the more I've been in therapy for about 2 years now. I'm learning so much more about myself. Like I've realized how flawed I am. Actually, I wouldn't say flawed. How human I am.
Yes.
How human I am.
Yes,
I have.
thank you.
Yeah, and I have these. I wouldn't say personality flaws. I'll say personality quirks. That I have these things.
Mention one of them. If
People
you're-
pleasing, one of those things. Like it took me such a long time to figure that out. That I was I was spineless because I wouldn't want to hurt the other person. I was always wanting to be the good boy Agni, a people pleaser Agni. That Agni is always while growing up, Agni's been this, Agni's been that. That this image of So I was always trying to please or look trying to match that image of Agni, that topper and everything and all that, and that just translates into also as a good boy, is this that
Yeah. And every time somebody calls you a good boy, it gets reinforced. That
Reinforced,
means I can't be a bad boy.
yeah. But yeah, like I'm a people's pleaser, and now I'm learning to stand up for myself. Now I'm okay hurting people because at the end of the day, I have to be happy.
Is this why you chose to have this discussion? Like, why are the three of us having this discussion today? Why were we talking about women? Why were we talking about safety? What was that trigger that the three of us got onto a group, decided that we need to do this?
Because we are the ones who are making women feel unsafe. We are the ones who are messing things up.
In the guise of being good men.
Yeah, in the guise of exactly like I said, the worst person is the one who is neutral.
Yeah.
Or the one who doesn't stand up, right? Because no, we are good men. No, you're not a good man. Basically, why did we do this? Is because we have messed up, and I'm aware of that, right? I still know for a fact if a woman did not know me, and she saw me walking late at night, and we were on the street, she would feel unsafe around me.
Yeah.
And I can't say, but मैंने कुछ नहीं किया. No, but मैंने ठीक करने के लिए भी कुछ नहीं किया.
Correct.
So yeah,
the good guy conflict.
the good guy conflict.
The levels of good guy conflict.
Yeah.
So here's to hoping, I think, people watch this.
Yeah.
People introspect, people start having these conversations, and the boys' locker room conversation can turn a little conducive to societal safety.
I'll tell you what the one change that I would like to see, which is guys being vulnerable. I cannot stress this enough. Because as a doctor, I've seen men being vulnerable. I know how scared men are when they step into a doctor's clinic.
Yeah.
All that bravery and all is, theek hai yaar, like who are you fooling?
Correct.
So as a doctor, I have seen enough of that. I have seen politicians cry. I've seen all of that as a doctor. And over the last few years, because of all the mental health conversations I've had with friends, even with people who bring their boys or men in their family to talk to me, and I can see the difference. The first 5 minutes, "Arey, kuch nahi," and in half an hour they're sobbing, and you realize how much weight they're carrying. I really feel that part of the solution, it's not the whole solution, but part of the solution is normalizing vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's fine. Drop the act.
Drop the act.
Drop the act. Enough. Like, being vulnerable does not mean that you're not strong, that you will not do your job, that you won't earn money, that you won't look good, that women won't want you, that it's none of that. All the worst fears in your mind as a man is that if I'm vulnerable, everything will go. It's not true. It's not true. It's just not true.
So I think this is what being alpha is, or this is what having or being secure is. That
Let's redefine the alpha.
yeah,
Let's do it right now.
Yeah, so I think what an alpha is, and I actually feel we are alphas. Like, I actually feel the three of us. No, I mean it. I mean it. No, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Why does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter. No, I'll tell you. No, I'll tell you. No, I'll tell you. I'll tell you why it matters. I'll tell you why it matters.
Because they need someone
Because
to listen
they
to.
need someone to listen to.
Let's be the new alpha.
Yeah, we are.
Let's have
I'll
people
tell you
listen
why
to
we're
us.
alpha. I'll tell you why we're alpha. And I think you know why?
I love this. I love this conversation.
Because
Tell me.
we are not claiming to be perfect. Not at all.
Yeah.
We are human. We have our faults. We are getting better every day. What I was 1 year back, 10 years back was a very different Agni. I am still learning new things about life, about the world, about myself every single day. And I don't have an ego about it. When I lost my ego, when I started,
You did not lose your ego.
no, okay, what I mean is, like, when you stop believing that Agni is always perfect,
Correct.
that is when you lose your ego.
When you dropped the act.
When you
Yes,
dropped,
you
the
dropped
act.
the act.
When you dropped the act.
You know what? That's
You are not
that is a
infallible.
thing.
huh?
Drop the act.
Drop the act.
Enough.
I'm as messed up as you are.
Yeah, can
And
we
how
just
he's
stop?
more messed up. He's
He's
more messed
चेहरा
up.
देखिए
चेहरा
यार.
देख साहब.
I mean,
But he's aware about it, and he doesn't claim to be perfect.
Yeah.
And that's what makes him कि यार इस हमाम में हम सब नंगे हैं.
That's the heading. That's the topic of this conversation. Is हमाम में हम सब नंगे हैं.
हैं. Accept it
yeah.
and get better. But पहले
Yeah.
accept करो. I have accepted that I am far from perfect. I'm aware about it. And that is so liberating.
Yeah.
Because everything I do will always be trying to be a better person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm learning myself, so, and that's what I feel being alpha is. How will you lead by example if you can't unlearn all the wrongs?
Yeah.
I think
All the wrong conditioning.
only way to lead by example is by living that way.
Yes.
That's
And I'm
pretty
also
much
secure
it.
about it.
Hmm.
See, I'm aware that I make mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm aware that, all of us are aware that we make mistakes, right? We are getting better every day. We are not the best.
Yeah.
No one is. There's nothing called perfection. We are getting better every day. And we're very secure about it. Because we know आगे वाला भी उतने गलती करता है.
Correct.
That is why we're secure.
Plan बस यही होना चाहिए कि कल आज से कम गलतियां करें.
Yeah.
That's about it.
I have zero confidence in kam galtiyan hogi. So here's the thing. Okay, I'll tell you what my problem is. Okay.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
Which is okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huh.
Like, I'll tell you what the issue is here, which is I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface of what is wrong. So I'm very guarded against even accepting anything. क्योंकि if I'm being honest, हमने बहुत recently ये सब के बारे में सोचना शुरू किया है.
Yeah.
Right? And there are things that my wife has told me before she was my wife. Like, when we were dating, maybe like 10 years ago, she had told me things that I've had arguments with her. And it was about patriarchy and how the world is and all of that. And I told her some things that I thought was right. And I understood then that nahi, she was right. Couple of years ago, I understood that the way I understood it 10 years ago was fully wrong. And abhi, when this whole thing happened, last week I had another discussion and I understood that 2 years ago what I understood was wrong. So now I have zero confidence in my understanding. And the reason
But that is a sign of an intelligent man, Warrior.
but fucker. Okay.
No, but I'm not.
You realize how frustrating it is.
No, but what you're saying is absolutely correct.
Let him complete, bro. You complete.
I'm telling you, तो सही है.
अरे मैं बोल रहा हूँ सही नहीं हूँ.
इसके लिए तो सही है. इसके लिए तो सही है.
I tell you why it's frustrating, and I feel like every guy and every human actually goes through this if they had to go through it, which is what is fear? Fear is not knowing. Like, that is fear. Fear is loss of control. Fear is not knowing. So, as a species or as a gender, I feel like men are going through, or when they understand this, they will go through a lot of fear. Okay? Because that's what I'm feeling. Okay. Meri fat rahi hai because I don't fully understand what we are supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really know what to say. And that is scary because there is a public platform. We are shooting a podcast, for God's sake.
Yeah.
ठीक है? We are out here saying things without knowing what to say. So, as a gender, we are going to all go through this phase of fear. Now, that is okay. But unfortunately, we are not used to being afraid. So, fear makes us do stupid things.
Like this podcast.
Like this podcast, we will do stupid things. What I'm trying to say is, as men go through this, whatever, self-awareness journey, we are going to say and do stupid things. I feel...
Give them a
like
safe space.
Yes.
Give them a safe space
Yes.
to say stupid things and be stupid
Yes.
and then correct them.
Because men, like women, need safe spaces. Because human. So, ठीक है. We will fuck up. This podcast might be a huge fuck up.
Yeah.
For all we know,
You might get cancelled.
yeah.
You might get cancelled.
We might have said things that we don't know about. We don't know. And that is exactly what fear is. And that is exactly why we haven't been having these discussions
Yeah.
all these years. Because
This podcast was uncomfortable. So
Yeah.
many times we didn't know what to
because
say.
he kept asking questions that we didn't have answers
Answers
for.
to.
कि
Yeah.
why
I was just voicing my
why
thoughts.
do only men... अरे
Yeah.
भाई तू शांति रखना
अरे
सोचने
तू
दे।
न्यूरोलॉजिस्ट है भाई,
तो
तू
सोचने देना।
तू अल्फा है यहाँ पे अब।
मतलब पूछते जा रहा है। So this is uncomfortable. We don't know.
Yeah.
So that's why I said about vulnerability. That we really need to be okay with being vulnerable. कि
Yeah.
भाई नहीं पता,
नहीं
Yeah.
पता,
बात
But
कर रहे हैं,
सीखने की पूरी कोशिश करेंगे.
सीखने की पूरी कोशिश।
कोशिश करेंगे.
That's a vow
और
we
कोई
can
भी-
make.
कोई भी कुछ भी सिखा रहा है ना, सुन लेंगे
Yeah.
और आंसर नहीं करेंगे. We don't have to fix it. I don't even know if we can fix it, but we don't have to fix it. सुन लो. We will talk.
Yeah.
हम
We will
लोग
talk.
figure out कर लेंगे कभी
Yeah.
ना कभी तो. We will
Yeah.
talk. And honestly, bro, this is where men need to talk to each other more than ever.
Yeah.
Because I am feeling very comfortable right now just saying कि भाई नहीं पता क्या चल रहा है. तूने कुछ सोचा क्या चल रहा है. So this is honestly the time where men
This
need
is
to
also
talk.
so
what do you-
different
what do you think-
compared
what-
to what anybody has seen you also on screen.
Yeah.
Warrior saying मुझे नहीं पता.
हाँ.
Not having the answers, feeling that vulnerable.
Yeah.
That's the first sign,
Because
bro.
we are his safe space.
Yeah.
What happens
You
in a
guys
safe?
are.
What happens in a safe space? Like,
This is what happens in a safe space.
and what doesn't happen in a safe space?
I apologize.
Yes, fuck. Apologize.
I apologize for.
Apologize to that person. Don't name them, but apologize to that person.
I apologize if I made you feel unsafe.
You know what happened.
Yeah.
Apologize. I'm sorry. You know who you are. I'm sorry.
And I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Let us know if we can do something better. The women watching this,
No, don't say let us know if we can do something better. Let
There
us know
is-
how we
we
can
should
do better.
Yeah.
every line, and this is exactly why it's uncomfortable, because at every level, our brain is trying to reduce discomfort.
Yeah.
Kuch bhi ho, it'll arrange words in a way that will reduce
Yeah.
discomfort, because who wants to be uncomfortable? Yeah. And the thing is that so many years, we've had the privilege of doing this,
Yeah.
and nobody will stop us. Nobody will stop us. The only person who can stop us is ourselves, and we are trying, and I hate it, but this is exactly, we have to keep catching ourselves. Ki if I have made you uncomfortable,
If
like
nahi,
as
we
if
have,
there is
huh.
a
No, not if I, no, not just if I made you uncomfortable. Let me know if I've done something. Baba, you have. Sorry,
you know it.
with a sorry if doesn't come. That's the basic tenet of an apology, that if
This is
doesn't come.
all the things that my wife used to tell me, and now it's so much worse when you're
No, but
telling
okay,
it to
no, okay,
yourself.
no, but okay, just okay, very simple. Like, how we explained the consent analogy with tea.
Yeah,
Imagine the Britishers telling Indians,
yeah.
I'm sorry for looting your country for 3 years. Sorry if you felt bad, or sorry if I hurt you. Arey sala, sorry if I hurt you. if can you,
Oh,
that
God.
is, you've lost it there and then.
Yeah.
If an if comes in your apology, you're not apologetic. You're not sorry. Of course you're not.
It's tricky.
It's not. It's
So
not tricky.
unanimously, I think we're sorry.
Yes.
We vow to get better.
Yeah.
Tell us what we should do. And men watching this,
Have more conversations with each other.
Yeah. And
It
you
takes
are,
a while
yeah, and you're as messed up as
it
your
took us an
yeah.
hour and a half to
Yeah.
finally reach this state.
to get to
Yeah,
this
yeah.
space.
The beginning of the conversation did feel more preachy.
Yeah.
Right now, we're
Yeah.
vulnerable.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, and all the men watching this,
Exactly.
you're
yeah.
as messed up as everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone's
Yeah.
messed up
And
because
just because
you're human.
you've done messed up shit doesn't mean that's the only way to go.
Yeah.
Stop, internalize, and do something about it. And if you don't know what to do about it,
Speak to somebody.
speak to the girl right beside you whom you're currently making feel unsafe. Just speak to her.
Actually,
Ask
you can
her.
speak to any girl.
Speak to anyone.
Any girl, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's sad because if you speak to any of your female friends, your sisters, your girlfriends, wives, whoever, everyone has a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single one. There is not a single woman I know who has not been inappropriately touched, spoken to,
Yeah.
molested.
Yeah.
You know, I think this is what we should do. When you said every woman has a story,
They just don't talk about it.
I think every woman might have a story about you as well. Go home, ask your wife, ask your girlfriend. I'm not taking it to the extreme. Just ask them if you ever made them feel uncomfortable, whether it's your words, your action, anything. Let's first fix that. Come back here, have another conversation.
Yeah.
And yeah, here's hoping that the viewers are back here
Yeah.
with some thought in their head, and we managed to instill something, even if it's not the 1, 2, 3s of, the good guy complex, the good guy conflict. Just something in their brain told them they need to stop today, go and ask the next woman that they meet how they can be better.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do.
Yeah. And we're not under any illusion that this conversation fixes anything, solves
Yeah.
anything. I think it's
No.
part of a long process.
We are
But I'm
still
genuinely
figuring
glad
things
we
out.
had this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Guys.
feel like committing to this process.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. This was actually a safe space. Thanks.
Yeah.
Cheers.